Geog A to Z, supporting the National Festival of Fieldwork from the Geographical Association. Do join in. Today's conversation is about W for weather, a really important thing for us to connect to with children on a day-to-day basis. Weather is very longitudinal. We've got to look at it over a space of time. It's certainly one thing to look out the window, to look at fieldwork in the sky with children, but we really do need to connect that over time, over a year and over their years of primary education. So it often starts in terms of seasons, in terms of the early years, but it must be threaded through Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 as well. What is the weather like through the year? What is the weather like as a pattern and a process in terms of the weather system in your country, like the UK, and what's the general climate system? Because it does then start to lead into conversations about where things grow, how we move through space, climate zones and biomes. All these things flow from high quality weather. And certainly in the Ofsted Research Review and the subject report, weather is one thing in terms of the weather system, something that's perhaps not as well taught as other aspects of the geography curriculum, perhaps because of that repeatability and opportunity for children to revisit and review the very many aspects of weather that they might be looking at. So the word prediction is a really important one, and perhaps it's a bit of fun just to start off with children. You could perhaps hang a stone like the Bembridge Weatherstone onto a local fence to you. Bembridge Weatherstone, like I say, is a bit of fun because the idea is that if the stone is wet, it's raining. If it's dry, it's not raining. If there's a shadow on the ground, it's sunny, and so on. So it's not really a prediction forecasting stone, but it does give that chance for children to see if we really look at one aspect of the environment, and that would usually be the sky, or the effect of what's falling from the sky, then we can start to think about what the weather is like. So it's this opportunity to really look and to inquire that we might want to look at, because the Met Office, in terms of their conversations about what a weather forecast actually is three different things. The Met Office website is really superb in trying to get you to understand what the weather is like in the UK and beyond. And certainly their YouTube channels, their weather clips are really helpful for understanding some of the complex processes involved, even something as complex as wind. What is wind, for example? So their idea about a weather forecast is, first of all, knowing what the weather is today, now, and then it's all about calculating how this will change in the future. And then it's using the meteorological expertise, and I might use that word with children, certainly older children in Key Stage 2, to refine those details. So it's that meteorological expertise. So we want to build up this expertise in children. So the language involved here is very, very wide and broad. We need to build up this as they move through their years in school. There are the opportunities to explore and to get into the opportunity to wear different clothing and to jump in puddles and to get wet and to have the opportunity to spend some time outdoors with you as a teacher, not just at playtime, to really experience wind, to really experience, hopefully at some point in their primary years, some sort of snow or frost or ice at least. But it's to try and get them to really experience those seasons outdoors when they've got that more knowledgeable other you to talk them through it, to talk them through about wind direction and different words, the richness of words that come through wind. Just think about the amount of poetry that there is in primary education, the number of poems that have been written about the wind. Have they had a chance to read these outdoors, to hear them outdoors, to record them maybe themselves read outdoors when there's a lot of background noise, to maybe film themselves where it's particularly sunny or where there's rain outside, reading those poems. So connecting these words to each other, connecting these words to specific landscapes and views of what the weather's like is really, really important. And then, of course, there's the exploring the weather opportunity to really start to gather some number data, to use an anemometer, to look at a satellite image, to see that weather map and the radar picture that's picked up over time of maybe a weather system moving through over the course of 18, 24, 36 or 72 hours. There's lots of opportunities here for graphical understanding of these things that are often predictions of the future, but it's often quite nice to look back as well, to capture those and then to look back to see, was it actually like that here? Was the prediction correct? That's something important to connect to as well. So there's some more colloquial words there as well. Drizzle, um, gale, howling, very descriptive language. So this, isn't it, that we need to engage with the children on and for them to understand. Don't forget the importance of sometimes just seeing them on paper. So maybe you have local copies of Metro or maybe another free newspaper near to you, and you could give them a weather map like this to look at, to see the whole of the UK, to see the whole of Europe, and to see the patterns in what's going on. The pattern in one country is not the same. Certainly, in the north of our country, it is generally colder, wetter. In the south, it's generally warmer and drier. What are those patterns they could see? Maybe you could collect a group of 5 of these over 5 days and try and find that pattern. What's the pattern in what's happening over those days in your locality, in your country? And then, of course, you can attach it to the other number data that you can find as well. It's quite interesting to see. Okay, Copenhagen, 7 degrees, just like it is in Birmingham. Okay, Beijing's only 8. It's the same as in East Anglia. Moscow's colder, it's only 3, and so on. So there's the kind of talk, the questioning that can come from this, which is a really useful aspect. And again, there's always the kind of comparison to what's outdoors if we're doing field work as well. So sometimes you can do screen grabs of apps like this, and then you could feed these into generative AI tool, and you could maybe come up with some questions. So these questions are all completely generated and checked by me, though generated by AI, and they've been brought together from these 2 screen grabs of very contrasting days in London's Waterloo the last week, where it was between 17 and 32 degrees, and then another very notable day in the last few months in the UK, where the temperature really did go from -10 to 12 over the course of a very few days. So it was a really notable time and temperature shift there. And you can see the difference there in terms of the app. Lots of data in that. There's descriptive vocabulary, but there's also the timings as well. Look at when sun rises in the summer at 5:15 and sets at 9:30. But then in the winter, it seems crazy, doesn't it, that the sun's not rising until 7:20 and it's sunsetting at 4:30. So just little things like that really make you think about the seasonal changes, the seasonal differences. So it's worth tracking this. It's worth having a working wall with some of this data on it. Can you produce this longitudinal collection of data? Because that's what lots of scientists do. That's what lots of meteorologists do. Could we track that over the course of 3 months during the year? Could we do it in January? Could we do it in July? And could we do it in October? What times sunrise, sunsets? What's the maximum temperature? What's the minimum temperature? And maybe you could gather that data around our locality. So this is not just a single lesson. This is not just a 6-week block. It can really gather some speed, gather some really sense of place and perspective with children if we gather that over time. Tomorrow, on to something else. Join me then.